Welcome to Vital, your natural health and wellness stop. Hi guys, thank you for stopping by to share with Julie today. I hope you're having a fantabulous day today, guys. And in this video I'm talking about endometriosis. I'm just touching on some points where it concerns that. King V asked me to do this video, so shout out to you. So endometriosis, what is that about, and what are some of the things you can do to, alleviate the symptoms and get rid of it if you are dealing with this condition. Now, endometriosis is said to occur where you have tissues that normally grow along the endometrium are found in places where they normally would not be. So these tissues, instead of only being found along the endometrium, they are found where you have the fallopian tube. They're found on the ovaries and in the pelvic area, and this can be quite painful for some women. And the reason being is that when we have the period and the lining of the uterus sheds there along the endometrium, that sheds, and then the blood comes out, it comes out of the body via the womb, the vagina, and it comes out, we call it a period. Now, when you have those same tissue and they shed in areas that they have no way of removing that from the body. For example, if that tissue sheds in the fallopian tube, or where the ovaries is, or in the pelvic region, because these are not normally areas where these tissues are found, that can create some serious issues. It is often very painful. Women have pain during intercourse, sometimes excruciating pain that runs along the back, not to mention infertility. Many women who suffer from endometriosis also have problems conceiving. And oftentimes when you go to the doctor, you're given maybe just some painkillers to help you during the period of time when you feel the pain or you feel the symptoms more. And that is usually, coming up to the period, the symptoms are usually more severe. The pain is often a bit harsher. And so what can a woman do to deal with that? Fasting is one way of tackling endometriosis head on. And this is because fasting can also induce what is known as autophagy. And this is where the body uses whole cells, disease cells, or cells that are not functioning well as fuel. The body will burn these as fuel, and that include growth that are in areas that they don't belong. And so people who do fast have tremendous results with endometriosis. So if you can do a water fast, that could work for you. Not everybody are able to do that. And some people are scared, and some people might want to do an administered fast, and to do that, to go to a facility, that is often expensive. But that is not necessary, especially if you don't have other extenuating health conditions that could, complicate matters, so to speak. Now, that's one way to deal with it. Another thing that you can do is to do a juice feast. I call it a juice feast. To use the juice as a way to cleanse the body, and use the herbs along with that, and I will talk about the herbs shortly. And so the juices, the green juices, not the fruit juice primarily, but primarily the green juices that you would focus on along with the herbs. So that's something that you can use to help you for a period of time. And I know I talk about fruits a lot as being very healing, and they are. You know, going on an extended grape mono diet, or you could use mangoes, you could use melons, you could use any of these sort of fruits, and you use them, and you use your herbs also, and you use that for a period of time to help to cleanse the body and to nourish the body, because you're getting nutrients. They also help to cleanse the body, you know. And I'm talking about good quality fruits, organic or naturally grown fruits. You don't want fruits that have been largely sprayed with pesticide, especially if we are talking about grapes, especially if we are talking about berries. You want these to be fresh and natural. These can help. And the fruits also, that can really help. Fruits, some light salads, but I would stick to the fruits. And you know, you could have the fruits in combination with the green juices and the herbs. Or that can work better for people who have to go to work, because if you are fasting, for example, a water fast, you should not be going to work. And so some people have to go to work, and to be honest, some of you I know are scared of fasting, but so you can use the fruits to help you, and the green juices along with the herbs to help the body. This can be extremely effective in terms of, you know, helping the body to get rid of the excess growth in areas where the growths ought not to be. And here's where the herbs are important. Dr. Sebi talks about potassium phosphate as necessary when we are dealing with fibroids and growths, and those growths include endometriosis. And I will also say not only potassium phosphate, but potassium chloride, because it is a fibrin solvent. And one of the herbs that Dr. Sebi have told us about is the lily of the valley, as a really good herbs in terms of addressing these growths like fibroids and endometriosis. And so that can help. And there are other, it contains not only the potassium phosphate that Dr. Sebi talks about, but it also contains the potassium chloride that I mentioned, and then other herbs like the red raspberry leaves, guaca, condoranga. I have a list of herbs that contain potassium phosphate on my blog, italisvital, and I have a link below so you can check out those herbs. Linseed, don't overlook the linseed or flax seeds. That is a very good herb, and that too is a source of potassium phosphate and potassium chloride. And so these can be really helpful for women who are dealing with endometriosis. And some of you I know will probably have difficulty in changing the diet, especially just going into maybe just going for the fruits or going for, you know, a fast or doing juices. Sometimes that can be difficult, but you have to start somewhere. And maybe what you want to at least begin to do is to eliminate certain things from the diet. And at the top of the list, I would say, is red meat and dairy, because you know a lot of the meats that are on the market, they are, you know, they have been pumped with a lot of hormones. And then we get into the matter of estrogen, because what we find in that women who have endometriosis, there is an estrogen dominance. And when I say an estrogen dominance, I'm specifically speaking of xenoestrogen, because these are chemicals that get into the body and they disrupt the regular flow, the normal flow of things, because they mimic estrogen, and that's why they call them estrogen mimickers. And these come into the body from the foods that we eat, these foods that have been sprayed, that have been, you know, these animal products that have been They have given them all sort of things to consume, and then, when you eat it, that gets into the body. And not only that, what we put on our hair. Some of us, especially us black women, we tend to relax the hair, because I used to do that. That's really that's not good, how we relax the hair and we put these harsh chemicals into the hair, and these permeate the skull. I mean, some of us, the moment we see a new growth, you're going to straighten that new growth out. And what the result of that is that all of that is going into the body. Not only that, but what we put on our skin, some of these lotions, and even other products beside the relaxers that we put in our hair. So we have to be mindful that the things that we use on our skin and our hair are as natural as possible. Maybe it's difficult to go 100%, but sometimes we have to just go simple. The simpler, the better, oftentimes. One of the things we don't often address is the emotional aspect of things, because many of us, we eat right, we try to do the right things, and yet still we find that we are not getting better to the degree that we want. And oftentimes it's the emotional baggages that we don't address that lingers with us and manifests itself in various ways. And so sometimes we have to do a bit of soul searching. And you know what the saying goes, it's not what you're eating sometimes, it's what's eating you that is creating all sorts of problems in our lives. And so we have to address not just what we eat, what we put on our skin, but also, what we think, what is affecting us, what are the things that, are having an emotional impact on us, what are the things that we have not let go of, over, long periods of time. Some of us are carrying baggages from childhood into adulthood, and we never let them go, and they manifest themselves in different way, of course, coupled with the diet and all the other things that could possibly go wrong. But anyway, I realize I'm going longer than I intended, but I just want to say, for endometriosis, it can be addressed. The diet, we have to address the diet. Fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh juices, green juices, those will help you tremendously, along with, of course, using the herbs. Those, as Dr. Sebi noted, are rich in potassium, phosphate, and I say herbs that are also rich in potassium, chloride. And what you find is that a lot of them also do have the potassium chloride, that the ones that do have the potassium phosphate, such as I noted, the lily of the valley, the guac, or the elderflower, and so forth. Who could forget burdock? I would recommend you use burdock also. And of course, the liver must be supported, because the liver breaks down estrogen. And so dandelion, we can add dandelion to the diet, whether you add it to your juices, add it as teas, so that is something that we could look at. But the diet is probably the chief things, staying away from the alcohol, the processed foods, the dairy.